If you thought last season was deep,
You haven't heard anything yet.
this is boots to boots.
The moments where everything you thought you knew about yourself changes.
Because this is the stuff no one wants to talk about.
But it's what needs to be talked about.
Healing doesn't happen alone.
It happens through shared experience.
So lace up your boots.
Join the conversation.
We'll be talking to you. Today's guest is someone whose journey far exceeds what we've seen on TV. From growing up in a wrestling family to becoming WWE Champion and navigating the ups and downs of our industry, he has constantly had to reinvent himself.
And that's what Boots to Boots is all about. What happens after the moments, the titles, and how you build something that lasts. So please welcome Jinder Mahal, Raj.
Thank you, guys. I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day. You guys are in Florida also.
Yeah.
Life is good. No complaints.
It's a little colder today. Got a little cold today. I don't know. We got some type of storm came in yesterday, so it's a little chilly again.
Yeah, same
That's
here.
my
Same.
We lost that good warm blood in our bodies from being from New Jersey originally.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and you're from Canada, so you know.
Yeah, but I'm well acclimated to the Florida weather now. I've been spoiled for 16 years now. Actually, I came here when I got signed to FCW in 2010, and I've been here the whole time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, that's kind of right where we wanted to start anyway.
So we didn't realize like how deep your wrestling roots go. And your uncle was a legend in Stampede Wrestling. And like, did you always want to follow in his footsteps? And like, how did your family feel about that when you did take that step and take that leap going into the world of pro wrestling?
So yes, my uncle Gama Singh was a wrestler for Stampede Wrestling, but during his prime, in the 80s, I'm born in 86, so I don't have any memories of him wrestling. Stampede Wrestling had pretty much shut down by 89, 90. So I don't really have any memories of him wrestling per se, but just always having that connection and just being drawn to wrestling. My earliest wrestling memories are watching wrestling with my grandpa on the couch. It was actually WWF at the time, and seeing Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior. And just seeing these larger than life characters, it really drew me in. And as long as I can remember, I've wanted to be a pro wrestler. And then as I got older, not even older, still as a teenager, watching the Hart family, Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Davey Boy Smith, the Hart Foundation, being from Calgary, that was a huge thing. Then also a few years after that, Attitude Era. I was a big Attitude Era fan of The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I was a fan my entire upbringing, and actually even when I started training, I was watching guys like Randy Orton and John Cena, guys that I got to share the ring with. So I've always been a fan, always been drawn to wrestling. I don't know why. It's my calling, if you want to call it, whether it was fate or destiny. I really don't have an explanation why, but I just started training one day and never stopped wrestling, and just always aspired to do more.
Yeah.
So it's love and passion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Was your family like, yeah, go for it, because we know what's in store? Or were they like, is that really what you want to do?
At first, I'm sure they thought it was just a phase, because I had started like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training before then, a little bit of kickboxing. I was doing like Taekwondo before as a kid. So I think they just thought, I mean, I was 14 years old when I started training in the summer before grade 10, right before I turned 15. So I think at first they just thought it was a phase, but they saw the dedication. And my parents are both Indian. They immigrated from India. So they were just really busy working to provide a good life for their children. And their actual goal was to have us seek further education, become doctors and lawyers, because for them, that was safety, that was security. And that's what they had moved to Canada for, to essentially provide a safe, secure future for their children. So I went the opposite direction. I went in the craziest business possible, but I guess it worked out.
Yeah, no, it's so funny you say that they probably thought it was phase, because I will be 32 in a few months. And so I'm a little younger than you guys, but when I became a wrestling fan, I was 9 the first time I told my parents, I think I want to be a women's wrestler. And that was like early 2000s bra and panties matches. She'll grow out of this, I hope. Yeah, I did not. And now my dad is like the biggest wrestling fan. Is like, my friends at work and I were talking about what you said in this interview. And I'm like, please don't read the internet.
Yeah. Same with my dad actually too. I'm sure he's going to see this. So shout out, Dad. My dad's the biggest fan, biggest supporter. He reads everything, he watches everything. In fact, I know that because my mom will tell me, she's like, "Oh, I saw your match with so and so. Your dad had her on the TV." I was like, "Oh God, you watched that match? Oh no."
Must be nice to have parents that actually like to watch you wrestle.
Steve gets very upset. Steve's an only child, so he's never had to like share his parents' love or affection until I knew of. But they watch me wrestle. His mom does not like to watch him wrestle. I think it's just you're her baby, and you're her only baby, and she's like, "Don't hurt him."
Yeah, that just means I sell well, I guess. That's how I take it.
Very believable selling.
Let's talk more about your training. And you were 14, almost 15 years old, in Calgary. And so I'm sure you came across Natty and TJ. And so what was it like working with them, the independent scene in Canada at that time? Like, how do you think that helped you develop then getting signed to FCW and working throughout the WWE system?
Yes. So I just started kind of going to training on my own. I would take the bus and the train. It was about like 90 minutes from my house to get to training and 90 minutes back. So it was quite far. And just I didn't feel young at that time, but looking back, that was pretty young, like going through downtown Calgary in the winter, especially, it's quite brutal. I didn't get to know Natty and TJ until I was about 18. And in 2004, I started wrestling for Stampede Wrestling. That's where Natty, TJ, Harry, and everybody, that whole crew was wrestling. And actually in my very first match there, it was me and my cousin tag partner, Gama Singh Jr., who I believe you guys probably might know from TNA or Impact Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
It was me and him versus TJ and Harry in a tag match. So I've known those guys for a long time. And growing up, I even before I got to know them, I had known of them. Obviously, they were like the future, the next guys that were gonna take it to the next level from the Hart family. They were an extension of that legacy. They were the next generation, third generation. Natty's included in there too. So I used to really I still do. I really looked up to TJ, Harry, Natty. They were miles ahead of me. I was a bit of a late bloomer. Maybe I never even bloomed, but yeah, I always looked up to them. And we wrestled there for several years, from when I was 18 to 23, so 5 years. And the good thing was, in Calgary, we wrestled every Friday. So no matter what, every Friday there was a show, and then Saturday there would be many times there would be a road show, or we would get another booking in Edmonton or one of the other cities. So Canada is very spread apart, and I think it's a little more difficult now. To work every weekend, you might have to travel different cities, several hour car rides. But we were super lucky. Every week we had the home base in Calgary, wrestle every Friday. Same venue, same fans, same 50 to 100 fans showed up. So it was a great place. And there was several other wrestlers there. Tyler Breeze was there.
Breezy.
Victor from Ascension, he was there too. Yeah, there was a good crew of us there.
That's crazy. That then
you have the connection there though too, going from Calgary with all the names that with Natty, TJ, Breeze, with Victor. Like, you got signed to WWE and FCW. Like, and then you were with them in FCW those times, like early on for you, like, what was that feeling like for you? And like, what kind of pressure did you feel from like transitioning from being in Canada and now you have to uplift your life and move to Florida?
But also, like, how cool was it to know you're with the people you trained with and hopefully you can trust?
Yeah, definitely. That was nice to have familiar friends there. That's always a bonus. I actually lived with Breeze for a year and a half while we were in FCW, so that was super cool. And Natty and TJ were actually already on the road, but I would see them every once in a while, and I was actually just really proud of what they had accomplished, and them getting signed a couple of years before me from Stampede Wrestling, and then going to Developmental, Deep South, and OVW, and then FCW, then going to the main roster. Like, it was inspiring to me to see firsthand, like, people that I know, people that I'm friends with, people that I wrestled with going to the next level and really making a name for themselves. So yeah, going to FCW was very cool. It's obviously very stressful. And I was young. I was 23 at that time. And I didn't have any life experience, was in college, finished college, and then went straight to FCW. And I just continued to live like a college student for a couple more years. And then actually 1 year later, I was on the main roster. So I was only in FCW for 1 year, but it was a great time. I loved my time in FCW. Dr. Tom Pritchard was one of the coaches, Dusty Rhodes, Ricky Steamboat, Norman Smiley, Joey Mercury. Who else? Yeah, we had a great coaching staff, great crew. My class, we had so many studs: Roman, Seth, Ambrose, Moxley, Xavier Woods, Big E, Bray.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah, it was.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Naomi was in there. Usos were main roster transitioning. They would still spend some time in FCW. So yeah, my class was stacked.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because it's just funny, the similarities, because we were talking before we started the interview of like how my time of going from the independents, I started the Monster Factory in Paulsboro, New Jersey. I was there for a year and a half, and then I get signed to NXT, and I moved. And
you were the first class, right?
The first class coming into the new PC.
Yeah.
Which was crazy. I was the first class that had the tryout there.
Okay.
They just started that July of 2013, and I got there in January of 24.
Okay.
But my trial was at August. But anyway, it's just a transition, and you're meeting all these different people and whoever's experienced, and you have people that aren't experienced. And it was nice, like kind of having that similarity of people I knew already too from the independents too. So it's a really cool like world to just see on both sides of the spectrum of it.
Yeah. Well, and I resonate so much with you saying like, I was a college kid, you know, and I was 23, because when I got signed to NXT in 2018, I was 24 years old. I had never went to college. I had never, you know, I had traveled the world for wrestling, but I didn't like know how to pay bills or pay rent. Like I was transitioning into a new state. For you, it was a new country, and also learning how to be an adult in this crazy system all at once, and how much that affected me. I don't think we talk about, you know what I mean? Like how much of an identity shift, talking on Boots to Boots about that, how much that changed my identity. And I didn't know how to handle it because I was just a 24-year-old kid.
Because you guys were running shows every weekend with FCW too, right?
Yeah. Every weekend. We'd have taping on Thursday, Friday road show, and a lot of times Saturday road show somewhere Florida area also. So 2-3 shows every weekend, and then training Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday show, Friday show, Saturday show. Yeah, it was like a 6 days a week. It was a pretty hectic schedule, but yeah. I enjoyed it, and we would go to Rob McIntyre, John Cena's private gym there for our strength and conditioning. That was like an hour drive. And we'd go, I was in the morning class of strength and conditioning. Then in the afternoon, I would go to wrestling practice. So yeah, it's a little bit of a different time. And FCW wasn't run like the Performance Center, like NXT. It was a separate entity where WWE kind of provided the talent, and it ran independently. So a lot of the times we were just doing things on our own. It was a lot less corporate than what it is now. It was kind of just like an indie company in a way, and I really had a great time.
Yeah,
that's kind of where you find yourself though too. Like for me, coming from the military, I was 27 when I got signed to WWE, and it was hard for me to find myself because I still had that military mindset. I was only training for a year and a half, and then you just have to get in this routine and then try to find yourself. And like, just off top, like when did you start to kind of understand who you were in a wrestling ring, and then just turning that dial up?
Late.
Okay.
yeah. Late. I felt like when I debuted on the main roster, I wasn't fully ready in terms of promos and being on live TV, television tapings, big crowds. It was all very new to me. I'll tell you guys a little story about my time in FCW. So for my first couple months there, I wasn't really doing much. And Jim Ross came down for a visit, and I was just put in a random match with actually Shad Gaspard. Shad Gaspard was sent down to FCW from the main roster. Great guy, by the way. Rest in peace, Shad Gaspard. I had a match with Shad. It kind of went off the rails a little bit, and then just kind of got a little stiff in there for maybe the whole match. And for some reason, Jim Ross loved it.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
After the match, he had some really kind words to say. He told me that I reminded him of a young Iron Sheik, and
It's a great
from
compliment.
then on, I was booked at FCW like quite regular. Every week I was booked television. So I kind of felt like I had to step up really quick. Like my time there was going to be a little bit accelerated. And so, yeah, it took a while for me to figure myself out. And then, because at first I was Great Khali's brother-in-law, they had all these crazy storylines. I was maybe going to be a cricket player, kind of too. Then I was in 3FB, and then that was kind of a shock. Like, I'm in a rock band now. So still didn't get to figure myself out until probably after I came back in 2016, when I had my transformation, and then I kind of reinvented myself. And the good thing with that was, because when I was brought back, I was just brought back essentially just to fill a roster spot. Raw and SmackDown were having separate TV rosters. They weren't combined anymore, so they needed a few bodies. So I came back. Shelton Benjamin, Rhino, Kurt Hawkins, Mickey James, few of us they just brought back just to kind of stick us in there. And because I was so low on the totem pole, I was barely on TV. I kind of just created my own persona, the Maharaja, etc., this and that, had the transformation. There wasn't a lot of attention on me, and I just saw this as an opportunity where I could be myself and excel, and I could work hard, and I could see myself climbing up the card.
So what did you feel like you did differently then in your second run compared to your first run? Because I was going to ask previously, like, you were let go, and then how did that transition go? But we'll get back to that after. Like, how did you feel differently in your second run then? And like you just said, though, like you just kind of had that freedom to create yourself. And that's all we ever ask for is talent, is freedom. So if you could elaborate on that, please.
Yeah. My first stint there, I was really nervous, walking on eggshells. I always avoided Vince. Never talked to him, never developed a relationship with him. Second go around, I had nothing to lose. Screw it, I'm going to go for it. Established a relationship with Vince, and this relationship with wrestlers is trust. Can he trust you? Are you easy to do business with? Whatever his vision is, can you deliver? And when you mess up, can you take ownership of it? Essentially. So yeah, I just took ownership of myself and realized that I am in charge of my future here. I'm in charge of my destiny. I can't play the blame game. I can't blame poor booking or someone else got the chance. I did it. Someone else got it. I deserve it, etc. I just had learned that I am ultimately in charge of myself and my success and how far that I go.
Well, and it led you to be the first ever Indian WWE champion. So like, what does that mean for you?
Yeah, it means a lot. Just growing up, I never saw people like me on television in prominent positions. Really, there was few examples, but they were all Apu on The Simpsons, stereotype characters, essentially. And it's huge just for the next generation that can watch television and see people like themselves, myself. There's several other South Asians in music and arts and television and acting and movies and other sports. I was just actually at a PGA tournament in Jacksonville this weekend, and I saw 2-3 South Asian Indian heritage players playing in the PGA, and that was incredible. I never saw professional athletes growing up in any sports and television that were South Asian. So just that is huge in itself. And I got to take the championship to India on a media tour. That was a huge moment, one of my favorite moments in my career. Everybody's so excited. And even now when I go back to India, like, everybody still remembers that moment. I'm forever a champion in their eyes, and it's a very special feeling. And just the love and respect that they have is next level. It's uncomparable to anywhere else in the world. Like, we don't get to experience something like that in America. Our fans are a little bit different, but
Yeah.
it's a huge honor. So far it's probably the greatest thing I've done.
Hey guys, if this was a conversation you needed to hear today, let us know.
Like, subscribe, and leave us a review. Lace up your boots and join the conversation.
And we'll be talking to you.
And I hope to beat it someday. I don't know what it's going to be in, but I don't want that to be my defining moment.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I was going to ask about that and how it must feel for the audience to be able to resonate with you as the first Indian WWE champion. But I feel like answering that already, like, do you feel like WWE never shied away from letting you embrace that part of yourself? I feel like whether it was your first run and being paired with Kali, and then now being able to be the WWE champion and you have the Singh brothers with you, like, they really let you embrace your culture.
Yes. So one of my favorite moments was the Punjabi celebration. The next TV after I won the WWE Championship, the Bhangra dancers, the drum, the dole, music, pyro, everything, just a celebration. It was so colorful. And actually, I didn't even plan that. I didn't know that was going to happen. I got to television that day, and I seen a bunch of like random, just like Indian people backstage, and I started talking to them. They're like, "Oh, we're a Bhangra team. We're going to be doing a celebration today." And that's when I saw Road Dogg, and Road Dogg told me there's going to be a big celebration. And I think for the first time ever in pro wrestling history, there was a celebration or something in ring that nobody crashed.
Yeah.
No, nobody crashed it. I didn't get RKO'd in the middle of it. It was a beautiful moment, and it got a lot of traction all over the world, especially India. It was covered in a lot of the media. Everyone was just so proud that our culture was showcased in such an authentic way and on such a big global stage.
Well, that's also one of the things too. Like nowadays in wrestling, timing's everything. So like now with WWE, every wrestling company, AEW, TNA wrestling, everybody's getting so global now. Like that culture is coming into it. There's so many more eyes on the product, and it's really cool to see. And like for you to get that culture, not that stereotype of being a cricket player, having to just be the guy wearing a turban. It sounds awful to say it that way, but like that stereotype of the 80s is gone, and it's now into this new generation of everybody understanding and seeing all these different cultures on that platform.
Yeah, very much so. I'm excited about that in the future, seeing the next generation of Indian wrestlers just be themselves, just be normal characters. For example, I love what the Japanese talent have done. For so many years, they were just showcased in like a stereotypical way, but guys like Shinsuke Nakamura came around and completely flipped the script. Just cool characters that they're not defined by being Japanese. So I look forward to seeing more of that in the future, especially from brown skin wrestlers who traditionally have always been portrayed as heels, be it through media or the news or whatever it is, whatever's going on. I'm excited to see the next evolution of it, to go beyond that and look past that, because that is not us. That's not our story. That's not how we live. We have our own stories and our own characters and our own personalities that we want to display.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we know that you were or just wrapped up being in India, watching that firsthand. So how is it like being there on the ground, watching these wrestlers develop?
Amazing. So WXM, brand new promotion in India. And what I really love that they're doing is they've signed several talents, about 20 of them, that kind of essentially to developmental deals where they live in the dojo, they eat at the dojo, they train at the dojo, do tape study at the dojo, wrestle every day, practice every day, and now have the opportunity to wrestle in a TV taping type of atmosphere. It's very reminiscent of NXT when I watch it. It reminds me so much of NXT. Just a small crowd in the arena, actually, where they wrestle is where they train also. It's very, very much so like a performance center, and there's some incredible talent. If you guys get a chance, check out WXM, check out Kevin Malik. Neil is incredible. Skylar, there's several others that are coming down the pipeline, and they're each individuals. They're each very different. They're not one stereotype character. They have good promos. They have incredible wrestling. Zack Sabre Jr. Actually, this past taping, I believe it might air next week. I think it's going to air on Saturday. Kevin Malik versus Zack Sabre Jr. in India. Like that, just the thought of that blows my mind. Like that.
That's awesome.
That's the level WXM is at.
Yeah, well, and to be able to bring in like international talent, like, you know, I had asked you earlier about like being able to train and like learn from someone who is more experienced than you, that levels you up. So being able to bring Zach in, or, you know, whoever the next international talent is going to give those kids so many new opportunities and eyes on them and lessons that they won't get elsewhere.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're right about wrestling more experienced people than you. Early in my career, I used to be so nervous. If I was wrestling someone with a big name, I used to be so nervous. I would overcomplicate it in my head, and then I would wrestle them, and I'd be like, that was actually the easiest match I've ever had.
Yeah.
Why is it not that easy when I wrestle everyone else that's at my level? But that sort of experience that those wrestlers have only comes with experience, only comes with wrestling all over the world, and it takes time. It takes time to develop. I remember being a young wrestler and just wanting everything so fast, but it really is a long journey, and you have to put in several years, be consistent for several years, dedicated for several years, some more than others. But I think that's what makes pro wrestling really special is the fact that it's a journey, and you don't peak. Wrestlers wrestle to their 40s. Like a lot of wrestlers that I know are in their prime time and they're around the 40-year-old range, whereas other sports, if you're in your 30s, you're essentially phased out in many sports. So I think that's great about wrestling, and I actually like wrestlers that are a little bit more weathered. Like you know that they've been through the ringer once or twice, and they have a long body of work, and they've put in the time and have that international experience wrestling all kinds of people, and have had ups and downs in their career and in their personal lives. I think that really builds character, and fans get more attached to wrestlers that have gone through it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But to kind of like circle back to you, like, you had been through 2 releases. And so how did that kind of build your character and build your resilience?
Yeah, so the first time was a big shock to me. I didn't see that one coming. I had a full calendar. I was in 3MB where we were always booked. Not booked very well, but we were always booked. Live events, television, every week. We were constantly on. And I had my calendar for the next 3 months, international tours, every live event. So that one was a bit of a shock. I didn't take that one too well. It's lack of maturity, and I hadn't gone through anything that tough in my life before, so I didn't know how to handle it. But I learned a lot, because coming out of that release for 2 years later is when I came back, and then 10 months after coming back became WWE champion. And the majority of those 2 years that I was away, I was not being productive. I wasn't in the right mindset. I was playing the victim, etc., not taking ownership. And I learned through that experience that I need to take ownership of my career, myself, my life. And that's the same mindset that I have now. Ultimately, I'm in charge of my destiny, whether that's with WWE, that's outside WWE, that's in the world of business, personal branding, everything that I do, I'm in charge of. I can't rely on someone else.
Well, coming back and for how successful you were and then becoming WWE champion, and that changes a lot of people. Like once you get that successful to a point in your career, it changes everybody. Like how did you find a way to keep yourself grounded in that moment and stay in that moment?
I think it's just my personality. I try to stay humble, because if you don't, life will humble you. And it does continue to. Injuries happen, setbacks happen, releases happen, pandemics happen. Life will find a way to humble you. So, I just prefer to live my life and stay grounded, treat others the way that I want to be treated, and treat everybody well. I think that's what it comes down to. I want everybody who meets me to have a positive experiences and share something good about me to everyone else that they meet. You know, you have a good good experience with one person, they're going to tell 10 other people what a great person you were. And I think just your reputation really is important to build. And once you damage your reputation, it's hard to build it back, essentially.
Treat everybody with kindness, baby.
Yeah.
Not holding grudges. Karma comes for us all in the wrestling business.
No, it does. And I think on top of that, like having gone through that transition twice, but then also something I wanted to touch on with you is that you do have a degree. You have your degree in business and communications from the University of Calgary. So I feel like coming through those transitions and also knowing like wrestling isn't all that I have. And maybe it doesn't necessarily have to be my only identity. I know I'm going through that process right now. I just got my bachelor's in history. I'm almost done with my master's in political science. And I've had this real shift of like, I don't need to be so aggressive about my wrestling life. And so I need it now and I want it now and protective of it and fight for it because I'm also like over here doing other things that matter just as much. And so did having that degree while you were in your early wrestling days kind of change that perspective for you from the beginning?
No, I never had a plan B. No, absolutely not. No.
Okay, yeah.
And that was a part of the pressure that I felt. I had moved to America, got signed by WWE. I couldn't go back. Like this was it. I had to create a life for myself. I wanted to run in the opposite direction, 100 miles an hour. I just had bigger goals for myself. And in fact, when I go home, I see some of my old friends or every one of my old friends, and they're the same person. They haven't grown at all. Same things we were doing 20 years ago, they're still doing now. And I just couldn't live my life like that. I always had bigger goals and bigger ambitions. And so especially that first release, that was kind of one of those moments that during that time I had realized like, oh, maybe this wrestling thing isn't going to work out. Maybe I got to do something else. Maybe I have to start a business. I'm looking at other options, other career paths, etc. But ultimately decided to just go all in on this one thing and see how far I can go. And now I'm at a different point in my life. I am. A lot of days I feel like I'm phasing out of wrestling, but then I have a great show or a great experience, and I'm like, I want to do this forever. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I wish I could find the fountain of youth and be young again and have my knees feel good and my back feel good. And I really feel like I could enjoy wrestling for another decade or two, but Father Time is undefeated. And that's what I'm dealing with right now. I just had my 5th knee surgery about 6 months ago. So I'm already super limited on my bookings. It's just not worth getting hurt again. Just injuries are hard enough to deal with. And now, especially that I'm not in WWE, I'm on my own healthcare. I'm still trying to understand how this healthcare system works in America. It's just
that's a whole nother
episode.
We're American and we don't know.
Yes. And I recently got married.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm kind of transitioning into this next phase of my life. Just rebuilding it. But ultimately, the main thing that wrestling gave me is flexibility and freedom. I can do anything that I want to do and only pursue things that I want to pursue. I'm very fortunate that I don't have to do something that I don't want to do.
Yeah. And that's why we were so excited to talk to you, because you're like actively living the mission of Boots to Boots, which is discovering that identity when one pair comes off. So your wrestling boots, although they're not off permanently, are taking a backseat to your next set of boots. And so, just following you on social media and kind of seeing what you're doing next, you're really trying to use your platform to give advice to younger talent, to kind of like guide them in the right direction to see this as a business. And so like, I don't know, we kind of always like to wrap up with one piece of advice that you could give. So maybe what's one piece of advice that you're giving younger students you wish you got when you first started?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. I want to share more knowledge that I have. And this knowledge came through experience. when I was starting in wrestling, there was no knowledge or information on things like creating an LLC, how tax write-offs work, how to pay your taxes, how contracts actually work. There's a lot of misinformation on the internet. So I'm going to put out more content just explaining all of these things. And mainly it's for the next generation, just to have some sort of literacy. Because at the end of the day, what I do want to share with the next generation of wrestlers is careers are short. This time you have is short. Use it to its full advantage and use this time now to leverage what you're going to do in your post-wrestling career. Already think about your exit strategy. That's one thing that as wrestlers, I know we hate to think about. We never think about it because to us, we're going to wrestle forever and we're going to become multi-millionaires and live happily ever after, right? But the fact is, you have to consider your exit strategy early in your career. Already have a plan for it.
Yeah. And I mean, as a woman, I think I have a little bit of a different perspective because our careers don't get to go till mid-40s most of the time. And so I've actually actively been in that, starting with AEW. And I know WWE has this as well. They have a continuing education program. Well, they'll pay a certain percentage of your degree every year. And so I didn't take advantage of that when I was in NXT. But being released, having all the success I had in TNA, I got my bachelor's while I was in TNA on my own dime. What excited me about AEW was the fact that they had that program and I could finally capitalize on it. And so I'm actively, and why we started this podcast and what I push Steve to do is everything you're saying. What is our exit strategies? Because we are getting older and that's not something you've actively thought about. Me pursuing a master's is something I'm actively pursuing. So I think that's such an important topic for me because that's what I'm living currently. And it's something I try to instill in Steve.
And you are.
Every minute of every single day.
You are. And we're getting there too, because it's finding my exit strategy now too, which I think I've kind of dived into now with us working with Tumble the Towers. And we're running our show coming up June 6th in Rahway. Battle for the Brave Wrestling Showcase, which is a benefit for Tumble the Towers. Yeah. And like for me now, it's kind of getting more into that veteran community and finding what my passion is outside of wrestling. Because like you said earlier, like my mindset is only set on pro wrestling every day. I was in the PC 6 days a week, live events, Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. I had Sunday off to recuperate, and I was still in the gym watching wrestling. And then Monday right back into training. So like that's all your mind is ever on. And it's so hard to get out of that bubble. Yeah. So for me, it's very exciting. And now for you with Boots to Boots, like our identity is about finding what's next. And I know we kind of brought that up. So like, what is exciting you of what your next chapter is in life?
Starting a family.
Yeah.
There we are. That would be great. I think that's going to be the next step. I actually recently decided that I turned 40 in a few months. So I want to do a bodybuilding show, men's physique show. Yeah. So I'm going to start prep. Hopefully soon in a couple months, I have some travel planned with the wife. I'm really enjoying life right now. We travel, me and my wife. We went for a honeymoon in India, 3 weeks. First time I ever went on an extended vacation where I didn't think about wrestling. I wasn't worried about the junk food I ate or how I'm going to look in a pair of trunks. Just an awesome free feeling. We got a Europe trip planned in the summer. So at some point I'm going to buckle down, do a bodybuilding show. And the rest, I just want to build my personal brand and explore different avenues and see what ignites passion in me and really figure out this next step for me and what my next pair of boots are going to be. I think that is. I wish I had an answer for you guys, but it's a work in progress.
No, it is.
It's a work in progress. Just finding myself, and often some days I do struggle with it. Like I get down some days like what am I doing with my life? I'm not doing anything. I used to be super busy and super motivated and super productive. Now I'm just kind of sitting around the house, doom scrolling essentially. But I take it day to day. I don't know. And this is the part that nobody really shared when I was coming up. Older wrestlers didn't really talk about this.
Yeah.
The loss of identity that you kind of go through and just rebuilding yourself. You're attached to this one persona, this one identity, this one image, this one name, this one likeness that is not even yours.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, who am I?
Who am I?
It was also
Yeah.
the basis of this podcast with Boots
That's
to
exactly
Boots
why
is
we
just-
started this. Yeah.
And it's like I went from military boots, wearing combat boots. I was an 0331. I was a machine gunner in the infantry. And it's like, all right, cool. I did that. Now I'm going to college and I started pro wrestling. Okay, cool. Now I have this identity. I went from brotherhood to brotherhood. And then once all of it's kind of done, it's just like at the end of the day, you're just in your house.
Yeah.
And having those moments of thought of like, all right, what's next? And that's the benefit of this, is having that conversation.
Yeah. And we're so glad to have you, and we're so appreciative of like how open and honest you're being about how difficult, while it's going to be rewarding at the end of it, it's difficult to sit with. And it's something that we've both struggled with. I'm actively struggling with as well right now, because I'm not as active in AEW as I'd like to be, but figuring out what those other passions are. So as we wrap up, we just want to thank you so much for like being honest about that and wanting to give back and better the community when we leave it. And yeah, just I can't say thank you enough.
No, thank you guys. And I love this new movement that's happening in wrestling about positivity, because for so long it was super competitive, people cutting each other down. But I love this positive community that is essentially starting out right now through podcasting and wrestlers getting together, sharing their experiences and being open and being vulnerable with each other. And wrestling is tough, but life is tough. Life imitates art, art imitates love. Art imitates life, life imitates art. Wrestling is hard, life is hard, but life is about struggling and overcoming and achieving more and more, and always aspiring to do more with your life and just never quitting. I think that's the main objective in life. So whatever I do next, I'm going to work hard towards it. Am I going to struggle? Yes. Are there going to be failures? Yes, along the way, but I'm going to keep pushing and ultimately whatever it is. But thank you guys for chatting with me.
Yeah, well, we're excited to follow along for whatever that is and be there while you figure it out. So thanks so much for joining us on Boots to Boots.
Thank you.
Hey guys, if you're enjoying Boots to Boots, let us know.
Lace up your boots and join the conversation.
Like, subscribe, leave us a comment,
And
we'll be talking to you.